Welcome back to the Mardyke in Cork County's home ground down in Cork for the final game in this opening interprovincial T20 Trophy Festival. It's been a brilliant midweek of cricket. We've had 5 games so far, and the final one taking place now between Leinster Lightning and Munster Reds. A little bit earlier, the toss was won by the Munster Reds, and Stephen Doheny had no hesitation in opting to bat first. I'm Isabel Joyce, delighted to be joined, as always, by Ali McCalmont. Ali, you were right there at the toss. What did the captain say?
They both actually said very similar things. Obviously, spoke to Stephen Doheny first, and he immediately said, well, obviously indicated it was the first time this week that somebody had opted to bat, and he did indicate something that we said earlier, that maybe the pitch has got a little bit tired. Obviously, they both referenced the fact that we've had good weather, which has been great, and that it's been in the sun. This particular pitch has been in the sun for, pretty much 2 full days and then a half day this morning. So just the two-pace nature of it, which we'd sort of talked about possibly from that first game, and Lorcan Tucker said something very similar, that they probably would have batted first also. So yeah, Reds have won the toss, and as you say, Izzy, they've decided to bat first time this week. So it'll be interesting to see how they go about setting a target here. They're looking for a second win after both these sides won their games yesterday. Barry McCarthy to kick us off.
Well, yesterday we saw fireworks from Stephen Doheny. If you weren't able to watch that game, make sure you go and have a look at the highlights, because it was some of the cleanest hitting you're ever likely to see anywhere in the world. 150, the highest score by a very long way in the interprovincial T20 Trophy. And he's at the non-striker's end. His partner in crime, Swapnil Mudgill, run out second ball yesterday. Had to watch from the tent as his opening partner hit the ball to all parts. Just shuffles across and clips it into the leg side. Gavin Hoey will keep it to 1. And Leinster Lightning seemed to be in kind of holiday mode or something. They were very full of energy in their warm-up. Ali?
Yeah, it was a sight to see. Barry McCarthy taking the drills, a wee bit like the Marines or something like that, going round.
Well, I was saying to you, I think I've done that warm-up quite a lot in hockey, not so much in cricket. We do such a long warm-up in cricket, it tends to be a little bit less energy-filled, a little bit less about sprinting as well. But he got the smiles on the faces, got the energy up, and I think that was the whole point in the exercise.
Yeah, it was a wee bit of the old Full Metal Jacket. I don't know, I've been told all that sort of stuff. It was going around, and Barry was in fine form. He's got the ball in hand right now. Full to Doheny, and a good piece of fielding.
That has flown off the bat, considering what kind of a shot it was. Harry Tector did well to cut it off. And Stephen Doheny looking to back up the knock yesterday, because it's a very strong batting lineup for the Leinster Lightning. Probably didn't do themselves justice yesterday in their first win in the tournament yesterday, when they struggled to chase 131 for victory. I just wonder if Andy McBrien had been fit. Maybe, just maybe, they could have got over the line.
Good pace from McCarthy first up here. Yeah, but you mentioned there was out at the toss. It was the other thing I mentioned to Doheny about, we often talk about having a bad day and then having to come back and try and rectify that, but he's had a really good day, a really, really, really good day. And I sort of said to him about wiping the slate clean, and he said, yeah, I've got to treat this as a complete, yes, I'm in good nick, obviously, but I've got to treat this as a brand new game. It's a different opposition, different pitch, which is important, and maybe he can't play the same way. So interesting to hear that he's sort of treating it as a brand new game, as you would, just putting that to the back burner, even though it was such a performance.
Dances down and cramped for room by McCarthy. I think that's one of those things, you say it, but is it lip service? Because you can't forget that quickly how well the ball was pinging off the bat. So I'm sure it's something he's trying to persuade himself to start again, but Easier said than done.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier on when he arrived, he's probably being told about that every 3 seconds that he meets a new person. Everybody's sort of saying, well done for yesterday, etc., reminding him how well he did yesterday. And yeah, but I think maybe even just telling yourself to start again is a good thought. We haven't really spoken about McCarthy here, but that's pretty good stuff from the big fast bowler. On the money, not giving the Munster Reds batters much to attack there. Just 2 singles off the first over, 2 without loss.
Yeah, hitting good areas. Just putting the attack to the Munster Reds. Reuben Wilson will take the second over. Not for 25 in the first game. He just hasn't really looked quite himself, to my mind. Reuben Wilson has that extra bit of pace, and unfortunately for him, it's kind of worked in the batter's favours more so. 1 for 27 from 2 in the game yesterday. And he'll go for 4 more. First delivery this afternoon. Full and straight at the inform Stephen Doheny. And he manages to miss the fielder in mid-wicket. First boundary of the Munster Reds total setting.
Yeah, I was just going to say, perhaps with the slightly better conditions for bowlers, it's been difficult over the first 2 days. Pretty flat surfaces. I just thought maybe today, as we've witnessed earlier on, maybe a little bit more in the pitch for the bowlers, but that was a half volley leg stump.
If you're out of nick, that goes straight to the fielder mid-wicket. If you're in nick, you manage to miss them pretty easily, as we just saw. And this one's lifted, just about has the legs to get over the fielder there. Matthew Hollard, I think he thought he was in with a shout. Nearly was, but not quite. Back-to-back boundaries.
Yeah, it is the sort of area that we've been talking about all 3 days. Shorter side, and again, you talked about it yesterday. If you just go through with the shot, 9 times out of 10 you're okay, and that was the case there. If you'd maybe half hit that, Howard might have been in business, but good enough to get over the mid-on fielder and runs away. You can't catch it then once it goes past you. So back-to-back 4s.
And this time he's going to go all the way for 6. Watch out in the tennis courts. That's gone all the way in there. First maximum of the innings, and no surprise comes off the bat of Stephen Doheny.
Well, he might be telling himself before the game that just parked yesterday, but he's decided to just kick on. 4-4-6 from the first 3 balls of the second over.
I think for Stephen Doheny, he's been really good at choosing which bowlers to go after and when to go after them, and it hasn't been a happy hunting ground for Reuben Wilson. He's coming back after doing examinations. Hasn't had a lot of cricket, nowhere near as much as everyone else pretty much on the field. So Captain Lorcan Tucker coming down and having a chat with him. But Stephen Doheny, all these guys know each other so well. I'd say beforehand he would have been putting a circle around Reuben Wilson's name and saying, right, this is the bowler I'm going to try and attack, and make things difficult for Lorcan Tucker when it comes to his bowling changes as well as everything else.
And I would say probably hitting this way, a little bit of wind does seem easier to hit down this way towards the Sunday's well end.
Slower delivery and helped on its way, just about has the legs. Back-to-back 4s followed by back-to-back 6s. Just didn't complete that slower delivery. Reuben Wilson wasn't completely committed to it.
Doheny was committed to the shot. Nice low full toss, and as we've said, it travels down this ground. Well over the boundary here.
2 fielders either cover and square leg, and you just wonder, maybe because he's not hitting them that clean, Stephen Doheny. Yes, we've one that's that went into the tennis court, but Two of them have only just about beaten the fielders on the ring. Well, sorry, one's just about beaten the fielder on the ring, and one's just about got over the rope. So mid-off or mid-on on the boundary might be a better option than square.
Yeah, I think that's what he was trying to do that previous ball with the full toss. Trying to pull full. Just missed it last ball, but already we're talking about giving Doheny a single in the second over. We're already talking about it. This is ridiculous. He's gone on to 22 off 8.
Swapping on Modgo. Sitting on 1 from 3. His partner's on 22. It's always easier to bowl with the other batsman, isn't it? 2 overs gone. Munster Reds 23 without loss.
Yeah, normality resumed there. That last ball. 23 without loss, as you say. Stats galore from yesterday. Doheny, as you said, the highest score in an IP20 game, in Ireland 150. Most sixes in an innings.
What was the previous?
116,
highest?
I think, was Roux there.
No, but what was the previous highest number of sixes in an innings?
Oh, 9. 9. So he's almost.
Roux there.
Yeah, he's almost doubled that.
Oh, just shuffles across. Looks to help it. Targeting us down here, Ali. We're targeted enough in the warm-ups. We don't need the batters to try and target us as well.
Yes, on some fine skills behind Coach Pete Johnston. I was telling you to take the mitt yourself, maybe.
Yeah, see, it's the wrong hand.
It's the wrong hand, yeah.
Otherwise, I would have stepped up, no problem. Doheny looking to get funky. He didn't really do any of this yesterday. I appreciate it's a different pitch, and we've spoken about it ad nauseum, so maybe he just doesn't feel like he can hit the hard length that Barry McCarthy's bowling back over his head, looking to try and use the pace.
Yeah, you're right. We saw his wagon wheel yesterday at one stage. In fact, pretty much at the end of it, there was very, very little behind square. He does play that shot. It's not like we were talking with Paul Stirling this morning, doesn't really play that. Doheny has got in his locker, he has played it before.
Sharp bouncer from Barry McCarthy. Didn't enjoy Stephen Doheny's options that he was shuffling across, looking to hit fine leg. Then he tried to play the ramp. 3 very useful dots at the beginning of this third over.
Couple of other ones from yesterday, obviously most runs from boundaries, 120 from boundaries. I think he scored out of 150. And one that we didn't notice yesterday, I certainly didn't notice, his last 2 knocks against the Northern Knights. You'll be glad to see the back of him. I'll come to that in a second.
Gives himself room, looks to try and beat the fielder on the offside.
Yeah, 150 yesterday. We forgot about the IP50 earlier in the season. He got 129 against the Knights in that game as well. So I think the Northern Knights bowlers might be thinking, we're sticking pins in Stephen Doheny's voodoo dolls at the minute. But good stuff here from McCarthy, 4-dot balls.
There have been so many runs scored, haven't there, in both the Interprovincial Series and the the Evoke Super Series. Just such a well compiled over this from Barry McCarthy. A grumpy man on occasion. Things don't go his way. He's grumpy if someone's not bowling to their plan. He's not happy. If batters don't do their jobs, he lets them know about it.
No problem with that. I like a wee bit of aggression.
Just means he has high standards, doesn't it, Ali?
Standards, yeah, yeah.
Manages to get the single. I'll be grumpy about that as well, Brian McCarthy.
Just about to say, I'm not like that throw.
One from the over, just 3 off the first 2 of Brian McCarthy's allotment today. 24 without loss.
Yeah, talking about standards, captain from behind the stumps will be well happy with that. Ball was disappearing from this end, but it's brought that run rate right back. Just a single off the last, 3 off his 2. And that'll be his job. Doubt he'll get a third. Hollard is going to replace Ruben Wilson for the second over from this Sunday's well end. He's got a bit of pace about him as well, as we've referenced the last 2 days.
Yeah, well, when we were backing up, the ones that were coming from him were going a few clicks faster than anyone else.
Great work from the keeper there. That was going to rocket down to the boundary there for 5 wides, but Tucker gets across.
He does really well. I'll tell you what, the various mitters from the last few days wouldn't have been stopping that one.
Definitely not. That's why Lorcan Tucker's out there.
Yeah. Big edge goes the way of Stephen Doheny. He was hoping to deposit that somewhere close to the tennis courts, but instead it's gone right over Lorcan Tucker's head. Gone for 4.
Yep, wasn't looking in that area at all to pick up his favourite spot over long on, but gets the edge, and as we've seen those fields all week long, 3rd man up in the circle.
It goes straight. I think this is going to go all the way. Just about does. It's shorter than usual there because of why can't I think of the word for what our cameraman's standing on top of?
Scaffolding.
Scaffolding, that's it. A little bit shorter, so it just about has the legs. Goes through with the shot. Another 6. Harry Tector, I think, thought he was in with a chance. And that just shows you how close the circle is, because he thought he could catch up with it before it actually went for 6, Harry Tector. Barry McCarthy's just having a chat with Matthew Hollard. It's come
a long way. I'm going to send somebody.
No, he's standing behind the umpire.
No, he's going to stay there. So another funky field. Yeah, they'll swap over.
I like that from Barry McCarthy. So he's standing there saying, if you're only going to chip it over the bowler's head, I'm here ready to take the catch on the rope. So good execution from Matt Hollard there as well. Goes right up in the block hole. But he's already chasing his over 12 from the first 3.
Again, same as yesterday, it's like watching a different game. At the moment, it's just Stephen Doheny's world at the minute.
These two bat together, they open the batting together in club cricket, and I can promise you it doesn't normally look this lopsided in terms of scoring. Stylish off the pads for another single. Barry McCarthy trotting down. He's excited about his new fielding position. He's going to deliver the ball to Matt Hollard and then take up his position behind Roddy Black, one of our 2 standing umpires this afternoon. They have a lot of interprovincial cricket coming up. Got Johnny Kennedy at square leg as well.
Picks out don't say this too often in comedy, but picks out one of the two mid-ons. Picks out one of the two mid-ons. Don't think I've ever said that before. But yeah, it's a really strange field, but different thinking. Sometimes that's what it takes. End of the over, 37 without loss.
Yeah, 13 from, but a really good finish. Just one from the second half of the over. Sometimes a field like that can bring great clarity to a bowler's mind. Matt Hollard had 3 on the ring straight. So he knew he had to be full and he had to be straight. So first bowl of the Interprovincial T20 trophy for Harry Tector. I wonder if last night, yesterday, this morning, Harry Tector was in Lorcan Tucker's ear. I reckon I can do a job with the ball.
Yep, well, he's got his wish, if that's the case. On a ball, 5th over. Not much has been coming from that far end. McCarthy's first 2 overs, just going for 3.
They're just trying to get their field exactly right. Deep mid wicket, very straight near the nets, and deep backward square. Tim Tector is taking up a position in mid wicket between the two. Swapnil Modgill finds the gap. Lovely footwork, muscles it straight past mid off for his first boundary of the innings.
Yep, as we've talked about, beat the field, whether it be mid on, mid off. Very difficult to drag it in. Brian McCarthy was a little bit wide there possibly, but can't get across. And this time mid on, but you know, it's a little bit straighter.
Yeah, and he doesn't quite get as much of it. There's a huge gap between mid off and cover. That's why Barry McCarthy was so wide. So if you can get your footwork right, there's a huge gap to find in extra cover. Does well. Swapnil was a much quicker one, wider. He decided to come down, but bailed on it pretty quickly. Got the back foot inside his ground. For a second there, I looked up. I thought Riley Black was nodding his head.
Yeah, Modgill's done really well there because he was off balance after the ball had gone past him. Could well have just stumbled on out, but did really well to keep his back foot in.
Round the wicket now for Tector. Well fielded off his own bowling.
Yep.
Guess it helps if you're so tall. Batters have to get it that extra bit of elevation to get it over your head, but he's bowling in and at the toes of Swapnil Modgill, not any air to play with.
Side. Afraid I think there it should be just one. Yeah, that first 4 deliveries, I thought Tector was bowling a little bit of a rounder arm, but that one he was right over the top. See what he bowls to Doheny, whether he's trying to keep it flat. May well do so. Let's tick that one up to Harry Tector. Well done. He saw Doheny going to the leg side to try and open up the off. Just speared it into the wide line. Dot ball, good over from Tector. Just really the boundary of the first ball, but he came back well. 42 without loss. 1 over to go in the Reds' power play.
Well, Matt Hollard will be pleased to see it's Swapnil Modgill at the striker's end rather than his partner Stephen Doheny. Just that extra bit of pace means Swapnil can't catch up with that one before it thuds into the thigh pad. Much better power play this so far from the Munster Reds than it was yesterday. They were 42 for 4 at the end of 6 on that occasion.
Yeah, guess what they were on day one? 42 for 4.
Really? Day one they didn't have Stephen
Doheny. 2 here.
And it's 1 down. Moggill did not get onto that at all. Just done for pace as he looked to try and get his innings motoring. Lifted into the waiting hands of Tim Tector. So Swapnil Moggill, the first wicket to go down for Munster Reds. He goes for 7 from 13. And Munster Reds are 42 for 1.
Yep. Moggill just didn't really get hold of this at all. That extra little bit of pace from Hollard. Comfortable catch for Tim Tector. And the breakthrough for the Reds. 42 for 1. I hope I haven't put the absolute mockers on the Reds here and they end up at 42 for 4 at the end of the over. PJ Moor comes out to the middle. It's had a difficult couple of days.
8 and 5 in the first 2 matches.
Even outside that, hasn't really looked like PJ Moor of old, really.
Now, hasn't got the footwork going, and when you think back to kind of the last time that we would have seen him really looking top class is last summer against Zimbabwe in that test match, and when he's at his best, drives so beautifully, and driving is so much about your footwork. So if you can just persuade the feet to get going, then hopefully we'll see the more vintage PJ Moor.
Yeah, I was at Brady last year playing for the Reds, and he really looked good touch that day. All the circumstances pretty much had to go for it, but played well that day. Good start from Hollard to him. As I said, the previous match, Tom May attacking the stumps, and I think Hollard's going to do the same here. First up.
One change in the Munster Reds lineup. Ben White, who took 5 wickets yesterday, he's out. Just picked up a little bit of a niggle. Don't think it looked too bad. He wasn't hobbling around the place, but after losing Mike Frost on Tuesday when he had a niggle before the game, they might just be reticent to lose another spin bowler. The Munster Reds, there's a lot of festival cricket coming up, so perhaps just sacrificing 1 game for the good of the next 9.
Yeah, we'll be back next week with the festival on Tuesday in Belfast, so yeah, I'll give him a little bit of a break here just to make sure he's ready for those matches.
Chipped up and doesn't get enough of it to reach Reuben Wilson. That's the kind of a good example of what we've seen from him the last few days. The feet just going nowhere. Albeit Matt Hollard's, if he's not the quickest bowler on show across all the teams, he's one of them.
Yeah, as I said, he's targeting the stumps at the moment. Last ball of the power play. No, it's not the fast ball of the power play.
You had to say it. It was almost a wicket maiden, and then you said last ball. I'd imagine it's not a very comfortable feeling like Matt Hollard's targeting the legs or the body. Oh dear. Something has happened with his landing spot there. Matt Hollard is not happy.
Just watching the shot we had there. You mentioned about the batter maybe not being too comfortable with him targeting, and I just watched his run up there. He has got a really energetic run up. He's not like maybe a Matthew Foster or someone that sort of
Lopes.
languidly comes into the crease and then bowls from there. Hollard's got a real energetic run up, as you can see there. That could have been dangerous. Can't get it through. So top over to backup Tectors. And the Reds 43 for 1 at the end of the 6 over power play.
1 run short of what we're used to seeing. A few wickets short as well.
A few wickets short, 1 run more. 42 for 4. So they got 1 more run and 3 wickets less.
Yeah, my
What would
maths
you
really
take?
not coming forward to the 4 there. I was thinking 44 for 2, but it's actually 42 for 4. Just slightly different. But yeah, no surprise. Harry Tector just gets the 1 over. As soon as the power play is finished, Gavin Hoey brought into the attack.
So I'm gonna say this to you. When I'm doing my announcing for the international games, when they're coming up to a 50 or 100, I always look at the balls and the number of 4s and 6s, but I always add the extra ball that they need to get to the 50 or 100 to the 4s or 6s. I always, if it's like, you know, such and such a ball, yeah, I've got to add that, and then I add it to the 6 and I get the boundary count wrong. I'm thinking, yeah, in my head I'm doing that, so I usually get it right, but occasionally you'll hear an extra boundary thrown in there.
Yeah, it feels like we haven't seen Stephen Doheny hit a ball for a while. I'm going to have to listen in now and police your boundary counts.
Definitely. It'll be something that you'll be, oh yeah, he's got it wrong again.
I'm usually thinking about a few other things, but
yeah. Of course, the next time we'll be doing that is the women's internationals. Zimbabwe coming, an ODI and a T20 series for the women.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that because I'm interested to see how Zimbabwe have progressed. Last time I saw them was just over a year ago. And they really struggled at the global T20 qualifier. They were beaten by Vanuatu.
That's right.
In one of the games. And it was just a team that's had too many losses, it felt like. Once they were on a downward trajectory, they know very well how to lose, it felt like. Vanuatu, they have a couple of very talented players, but they shouldn't be getting near Zimbabwe. Marianne Masonda will be back on Irish shores. She had a very happy time a couple of years ago playing Super Series cricket.
Slip brought in for PJ Moore.
Off the mark on the 6th delivery.
That slip will be taken out, of course, now.
Yeah, the field changing so much, it's almost like it's a left-right hand combination, but it's just 2 different batches. 2 very different form books coming into this game.
In the air and out. And that could be just the pressure building on Doheny. Not getting much of the strike there for the past couple of overs. Scoreboard not really going anywhere since he's been off strike. He tries to hit that over the cover region. Doesn't get enough on it. Doheny goes for 35. Caught Tim Tector again. Bowled Hoey.
Yeah, just 21 deliveries for that wicket. 45 for 2. Trying to give himself room, Stephen Doheny, and for once something hasn't come off for him. So you'd have to say, based on what he scored yesterday, a big moment in the game. He was dropped yesterday, doesn't get the same opportunity today. 45 for 2, so the 2 openers going in quick succession. In terms of the score, it's actually been a couple of overs since Swapnil Modgill was out.
Yeah, I saw what I was referencing there. The scoreboard wasn't really going anywhere, and you know, it is difficult then when you're seeing your partner not really taking it over.
Last time, before that delivery, the last time that Doheny faced was the last ball of the 4th over. So Leinster Lightning doing a very good job of keeping him off strike. Something they did, that the Northern Knights didn't manage yesterday. New man in, Suleiman Safi, hasn't had a good time of it with the bat at all. 0-1 in the first 2 games. Slip is in. Oh, well watched. An extra cover, a bit of spin, almost foxing the man there. Ruben Wilson.
He's done really well there. He hasn't done an injury there, just on the little ends of the wicket. He's okay.
Very good opening over from Gavin Hoey. 1 for 2 for him. 7 overs gone. Munster Reds 45 for 2.
Yeah, you're talking about Safi maybe struggling in these first 2 days, but you could probably say that about the vast majority of the Reds. It's been Doheny and McNally really that have been to the fore. McNally played well yesterday in support of Doheny. They were in trouble and he sat in with the partnership and stayed with Stephen Doheny, but he's gone now. It's up to somebody else here really today to step up, try and make a mark here and try and get a score on the board. But quickly, 7 gone there. You can see the bowling figures. McCarthy, well, it speaks for itself. 2 overs, just the 3 runs. Wilson got taken down by Doheny in his 1 over. But wickets for Hollard and Hoy. We're going to see Alvin Deverage come on now from the Sunday's well end. He'll be bowling to PJ Moor. Again, the timing just not there at the moment.
Three wickets for Melvin Deverage yesterday. Wasn't successful in the first day, but did very well to help defend that target yesterday. There have been 7 boundaries in this innings so far. 1 has been scored by someone that isn't Stephen Doheny.
Actually, thought that was maybe one more than I thought, actually. Trying to think of
Gill had the drive.
He had the drive down the ground off the spinner, yeah, that's right. It was Harry Tector's first ball.
Yeah. Third, fine, square, and long on out. Cover as well.
A little bit of confusion between the batters, but no danger. Quick enough call, but again, single and dot to start another over. That could be out too. That's a poor drop. That should be out. Good fielder, good pair of hands normally. Christopheridis there at mid-wicket. Catchable height.
Yeah, that's a poor drop. Suleiman Safi needed that. He needs a bit of luck to go his way, the way his week has gone so far with the bat. Nice contact, but so maybe it was just on to Christopheridis quicker than he expected. But you'd expect him to take that 99 times out of 100.
Yep, there's your life, Suleiman. Gotta make the most of it now. And one thing, just watching into pro cricket for the last couple of seasons, it's one thing I think the Lightning are really good at is sensing a moment to really push and just hammer home the advantage they've got. They've got the advantage with 2 wickets here, but just to hammer it home, and they really just sense that little opportunity.
Yeah, spot on. They know exactly when they're on top. Two fielders in the deep there on the offside. Either a very backward point or a very square third. And cover as well. Field completely changes for the left-handed Safi.
Yeah, and sometimes that hammering home that advantage isn't just about taking wickets, it's about just continuing to just dot ball it up, keep that run rate really under control, and that's what they're doing at the minute. Just 2 wickets at the minute, but they're really squeezing that run rate.
Safi
tries to increase it, but down there is pretty rapid. High tech down there, and a great throw in.
8 overs gone, 49 for 2, the Munster Reds. So both teams feel that it's not as high a scoring wicket as we saw on days 1 and 2, but 49 for 2, probably a little bit below where they'd need to be, or where they'd want to be. And apart from anything else, not having a set batter out there is costing them at this stage in the game. If the Lightning can run through a few quick overs, just go for low single digit numbers, they'll be well on top, and they'll be hunting for another bonus point win.
Yep, Knights picked one up earlier. On the sweep, short boundary again, good catch. Some fielder down there, excellent catch, but it was over the rope.
I think it was that Mark Tonge.
I think it might be.
He just had to put down his drinks,
Yep.
get the hands up. Safi gets his first boundary of the festival, and it goes all the way for 6.
Good grab that. Yeah, you were speaking about boundaries, we've just seen one. That's only one apart from that, but over the last 2 days, we've just got this stat sent through to me. Munster batters off 86 balls now, they've scored 75 runs. Stephen Doheny has 185 off 77.
Chanced in the deep. The fielder comes in, takes the catch. George Dockrell doesn't drop many, and he doesn't drop that one. Safi finally got a boundary, but he can't survive much longer. So another Munster Reds batter goes. Safi goes for 8. Reds 55 for 2. For 3.
Yeah, Suleiman Safi's killed my stat there. Giving away his wicket after the boundary. You saw that earlier from the Warriors. Every time they picked up a boundary, they got a wicket the next ball. Same here. 6. Tries to repeat the dose, but not in a great position. And yeah, George Dockrell.
So before
really
that
safe.
dismissal, what was the stat?
75 runs from 85 balls was all other Munster batters. Stephen Doheny is 185 from 7 less deliveries.
Wow.
Crazy.
When you're in good touch, you're in good touch.
Yeah.
It's T20 cricket for you.
That's what you were talking about. One guy can make such a difference in this format. Bat, ball, and indeed in the field. One top performance can win a game. Somebody's going to have to do it here for the Reds. Pretty much going nowhere at the minute.
Philippe Leroux, we know he's got boundary hitting ability, but he hasn't quite got going this festival yet. Always difficult to come in and face leg spin first up, and he's completely done there. Never good when you end up with your chest facing the umpire.
I'd like to see this one again. There we go. You'll see it gets absolutely squared up. First ball here, facing,
A little wriggle.
A little wriggle, a little bit of snake hips there.
Snake hips. I'm going to stick with the wriggle.
That's the sort of thing that gets a nickname for you. Yeah, he's got squared on. Good stuff from Hoy first up.
Just feeling for Philippe Leroux, the railway man, not looking comfortable. And real illustration of why it's so uncomfortable to come out and face leg spin first up. Haven't got the pace of the pitch. Gavin Hoey has been making good use of the pitches here in the Mardyke. Very good sweeper of the ball. He did get out playing that shot yesterday, but by and large, it's a fruitful shot for him. But Gavin Hoey's the one who's come out on top in that one. The 6 first ball, then the wicket, and then a single to close it out. So after 9, Munster Reds 56 for 3.
Yeah, just kind of looked as if he was searching for the ball there, wasn't 100% sure where the ball was going to go there, Roux, so decided to go to probably his favourite shot, the sweep. Gets him off the mark. But almost halfway through now and just 56 on the board, having opted to bat.
Good line from Melvin Deverage. Good length, but I think if you give him any kind of width there, probably get hit for some runs. All the field is out on the leg side, so you can't really afford to give width.
Yeah. Deverage coming on, and he's backed up the other bowlers. It's 4 so far. It's a good line again. And this is exactly what I'm kind of talking about by the Lightning. Got Gavin Hoy at one end, looking at wickets, and Deverage is on this end. That's 8 balls now, and he's just conceded the 4.
That does not seem like a good option, does it? Very difficult shot to execute. Usually the kind of one that you play when you've been scoring runs pretty freely and they've taken away your options.
Yeah, difficult one to execute. It's not really a ramp there. He's sort of reverse sweeping that nearly off a seamer. Difficult to make contact, especially so early in your innings. That's a better option. This time well fielded by De Freitas.
Yeah, great strength there from Roux. That little bit of width was given by Deverage there. But all the Leinster Lightning bowlers, bar maybe Ruben Wilson, will be happy with how they've gone so far. He got taken down by an in-form man, so you hope for his sake that he gets another opportunity, that Lorcan Tucker throws him the ball, tries to get him a bit of confidence. That'll be confidence for PJ Moor, launched towards the clubhouse.
He's been crying out for that, to get one off the middle. That certainly was. Just leant back and the back foot. Got the length that he wanted there. Just getting up around hip height. And that's the area to hit in this Mardeg.
Step hit length, isn't it?
Yep.
Just can't bowl quite that short against PJ Moore at that pace. There's the slower ball. Good thinking. The fielder's all back on the ring, so an easy single to close out the first half of this innings for the Munster Reds. 64 for 3.
Yep, been good stuff from the Lightning. 10 over, 64 for 3. Oh wait, 2 for 9 off 2. Pulling a good pace here. Watched them in the warm-ups. Ball skidding on here. He'll get the ball. PJ Moore now.
Gavin Hoy, such a good weapon for the Leinster Lightning the last couple of years. As a captain, Lorcan Tucker will be looking at his bowlers beforehand. He'll put 4 down for Gavin Hoy every single match. That's gone straight up. Fielder coming underneath it. Another catch taken. PJ Moore. It seems for the Munster Reds it's a 6 and out, because He's hit a 6 in the previous over, then he's sent that one high, and Harry Tector takes a pretty regulation catch.
Yeah, when that was in the air, you immediately look as to who might be under it. And when you saw it was Harry Tector, I think PJ Moor did the same. Sort of gave up straight away and started to walk off because the safest pair of hands in the country. Straight up in the air. If you see him here now, he immediately thinks the shot, and then, yeah, that's Harry Tector. Although it went high, comfortable as you like, for the number 13. PJ Moor goes 4 down for the Munster Reds. And their other informed batter, John McNally, is on rescue mission again.
10 from 11 for PJ Moore. And yeah, you have to feel for John McNally every time he comes out for Munster Reds. They're in a perilous position. As a number 6, you'd probably prefer the situation where you've got 5, maybe 6 overs left at the end where you can look to try and pile on the runs, but instead he's in a little bit earlier than he would want. Not quite as early as the first 2 days, mind.
Yeah, but certainly not 5 or 6 overs to go with a bit of license. Attacking again, slip straight in. Oh, he's got 3.
Yeah, I think we'll see a few googlies here from Gavin Hoey. I reckon that was the googly. But John McNally just looking to rotate. We've seen that from the last few days. He doesn't go hard early. Tries to get a few runs on the board before he starts figuring out which boundaries he wants to target.
Yeah, a little bit of extra chat from the Lightning fielders to McNally.
That slapped through the offside, an unconventional shot from Philippe Leroux. Got it high on the bat as well, but followed through enough that it'll go for 2 runs. 2 very different types of batters here. One's obviously left and one's right, but John McNally technically correct. Philippe Leroux a little bit funkier. Strong sweep shot. Can he get the gap in between the two and the deep? He can't. Good work from Wilson, but another couple added to the score.
Three for 12, just only now.
I think that we're missing a 2 there, aren't we? Back-to-back 2s in this over so far.
Yeah. So it should be up to 69.
Beautiful. Beats the outside edge to close out his 3rd over. 3 for 14 with 1 left in his spell, and after 11, Munster Red 69 for 4.
Yep, 9 overs to go here. Yeah, we were referencing the Women's Internationals coming up. Just to mention the congratulations to the Dragons yesterday, winning the Super Series yesterday. It's an emphatic performance yesterday, let's say. It was a little bit of an emphatic performance.
Yeah, the Evoke Super 50
Yep.
Cup that was, and Amy Hunter. We had 2 150s in domestic cricket yesterday. One from Stephen Doheny, one from Amy Hunter. It was, what was it, 346 or something that they put on, and then the Scorchers, they lost their wickets quick and fast. Orla Prendergast was, I think she took the top 4 wickets in quick time. They had to try and go after her, 356. You have to get going from ball 1 pretty much, and they just never got going. So good to see the Dragons getting the 50 over cup. We'll be seeing the T20s very soon up in Breedy, Sunday and Monday.
Yep, that tournament kicks off this weekend. You got your wish anyway. Here is Ruben Wilson coming back. He's been given another over. Maybe a slightly better time to bowl for him here. We'll see.
Well, we've talked about Munster Reds having basically 2 batters who've had any form. One of them still out in the middle, so it's still a good challenge for Wilson. We saw it yesterday as well, didn't we, with bowlers coming back and saving their figures. Barry McCarthy got 2 overs at the end against the Northwest Warriors to try and see could he save those figures, and he did just that.
Yeah, I was really interested to see that spell. We referenced it yesterday. Started the bowl into the back of the hand and wide Yorkers, and really went to the death bowling. It really worked for him yesterday, and practicing those skills in game. We watched him quite vigorously go through his practice before games, but as we always talk about, nothing can replicate having a batter at the other end who's going after you at the last couple of overs. So no harm in trying out those skills, and as I say, it came off really well yesterday.
Well, it's not getting any easier for Ruben Wilson. 2 short straight and heaved over into towards our analyst Scott Irvine, I think.
That'll clear out the cricket iron staff over there, I tell you.
Yeah.
There was a few movements over in the pavilion there.
Well, a really beautiful shot, great contact. The worry for Munster Reds is that when someone hits a 6, what happens next?
Yeah, it's been a bit of an Achilles heel in this innings.
I don't think at any point you can think you're really in on this pitch. You've got to keep being so watchful. Oh, a little slower one, and doesn't get up at all. Good thinking from Philippe Leroux. They won't take on Harry Tector. Good backing up from Gavin Hoey. He's the other one with the telltale towel.
Yep.
Paul Sterling, Gavin Hoey.
White towel. Backing up from the lightning, not just from Hoy.
Been 3 wonderful days of weather down in Cork. I hope that as we all disperse after this game, we all go back to sunny corners of Ireland as well. We've spent most of our time in the shade, Ali.
Yeah, we've been in the shade, but it's been fantastic weather here in Cork. As you say, I hope it continues.
Yeah, he'll keep this to 1, I think, Ruben Wilson. Good chase from him. Just didn't quite have enough on that John McNally to force the second. So good comeback from Wilson. He's got 1 more delivery to negotiate. 0 for 30. Looks a lot better than 0 for 36 after 2. He'll take 0 for 31, I think, Ruben Wilson. 12 gone, 79 for 4.
Yep, just a slot ball in that over. Went into the pavilion for 6, as we see on screen there. And there's your card. The Reds, Doheny again off to a fantastic start, but couldn't kick on today. Went for 35. Always been tormentor in chief there. Got the wickets. Other bowlers have really backed it up, but it's Hoey that's got the wickets. Doheny, Moor, Suleiman Safi not out at the moment. trying to rebuild. Philippe Leroux and John McNally. 14 and 3 not out respectively. Ball's going to go back to Harry Tector now. Going to keep one in the hut for Roux. Harry Tector just a 5 off his opening over, and his first ball went for a boundary, so decent over. We're looking to back it up and maybe even pick up a wicket or two.
Sweep shot again from Philippe Leroux. I think he had that shot picked out before the ball was even delivered. So strong in that area. Harry Tector's second over starts just like his first did, with a boundary.
Him on the sweep, as we mentioned. Let's see it here. Yep, in position pretty quickly there. We can't pull it in. That round arm.
Yeah, fired in. He knows the sweep shot's coming when it's Leroux. Just trying to get under the bat. Takes the glove. A little bit of luck for Leroux is exactly what Munster Reds need. Great to see two of the youngsters, two of the standout up-and-coming batters in Irish domestic cricket batting together. Look, Tucker gets out very, very quickly from behind the stumps. That's usually a single, but just put the doubt in Philippe Leroux's mind. And once you pause, you can't take the single.
Yeah, it's a really good call. Something for wicket keepers to watch. It's not just about staying behind the stumps sometimes, and particularly in T20 cricket where you've got a spinner on. Lots to cover.
Oh,
could be out. Oh, is it just short? Look at a wee bit of body language here. Is that disappointment on Harry Tector? Harry Tector's demeanour.
He would love to take this wicket. Be able to turn to his captain and say, I'm the partnership breaker. I should be bowling more. The thing about Harry Tector is he does bowl so straight, and being quite quick through the air like he is, if he gets it up nice and full, very, very difficult to get it past him. You've got to go either side or over the head. You just can't get any elevation.
Brings us to leg side fielders. Square by a foot, 3 or 4 yards, and then bowls it outside the off.
He read the situation really well there. Harry Tector knew John McNally was likely to come at him. Threw it outside off, but McNally manages to get the hands through it. 13 gone, 85 for 4.
Yep, 7 to go. Just 6.5 run rate. These two trying to rebuild. McNally playing a very similar innings so far as that we've watched over the past few days. Happy to eat up a few balls at the start of his innings and hope to capitalise later. There's your bowling cart. As you say, apart from Raymond Wilson, who's come back in that last over, he's going to get a third here. Good economy rates from all, and away with the wickets.
Just got through a little bit quicker, I think, than John McNally was expecting. It had a fleshy sound to it, didn't it?
Yeah, I'll go down as a leg by, but no pad, I don't think. It might have been.
It was the back leg. You don't have too much padding on that one. He just about gave it a rub there.
I'm just going to say, don't touch it, don't touch it.
He resisted for long enough for Ruben Wilson not to see it. That's the important thing. Priorities, Ollie.
That's it. Didn't hurt, didn't hurt. Really hurt.
Power, pure power, too wide and helped all the way. That was travelling from Philippe Leroux, who's starting to enjoy things out in the middle here at the Mardyke.
Well, he certainly feels a little bit more at home now. Got a few off the middle here. And that one is the best one of the lot. And the back leg. Hands through and really made good contact and it raced away for 4 more. Much tighter line there. Similar sort of length, but much tighter on the line. They can't make similar contact, and this one just goes for 1. Gets McNally back down on strike.
It's probably been the most difficult season to be a bowler in IP cricket because the pitches are so good. Nowhere to hide for the bowlers. Helped into the gap, but I think De Freitas will stop it going for 2. Ran a really good line there, Chris De Freitas. He knew that Seamus Lynch was coming behind him, so he was able to take an attacking line. That's how he was able to keep it to just 1.
Yeah, I think you're right, even right through club cricket. Super Series, there's been lots of runs, hundreds, plenty of them in club cricket right up and down the country, and then into the provincial 50, as I say, the Super Series, lots of runs.
And in the internationals as well.
And in the internationals, yeah.
Bouncer and just punches it over Lorcan Tucker. I thought for a second there he'd managed to nip one there. Reuben Wilson, but no. 1 for the over, says umpire Rolly Black.
John McNally on screen there.
He's got a sister, Julie McNally, and they look exactly the same when they're standing like that, waiting to bat. Has he picked the man out? No, doesn't do very well there, Gavin Hoey. I think he thought about going for the catch, and then in the end, he's made it very difficult for himself. That's not what Reuben Wilson needed. He could have got out of that over. But another boundary to close things out in a poor way for him.
Yeah, you'll see Gavin Hoy just gets in no man's land in the end there. Very difficult to stop that then when it's travelling at such pace. So to make up for it, skipper Lorcan Tucker says, right, you can come on and have a bowl then. That shouldn't have gone for 4. Good figures so far. Wait, 3 for 14. You can see on the bottom of your screen there a little bit of a recovery here. 41 for 1 in the last 5. 6 to go. Can the Reds set some kind of target here? Straight on the reverse.
Oh dear. Catch goes down. Seamus Lynch puts down a pretty regulation catch. It's a strange shot selection from Philippe Leroux considering the field placement. Goes for the reverse, almost like a switch hit, but helps it into Seamus Lynch's hands. He is in the shade, so it can make things more difficult. Gavin Hoey almost had a 4th. Leroux survives.
Yeah, 3 men in that area. As you say, the Maybe just the distance of the boundary possibly tempting the Roux. Pulled into the leg side for 1.
I think as John McNally gets a little bit older, gets a little bit stronger, he'll start to try and deposit those kinds of shots over the boundary rope for 6, but at the moment he's opting to roll the wrists over the top. Nicely played. The drop catch just now paying off for Roux. 100 up for the Reds in the 15th over with a boundary off his bat through the offside.
Yeah. Might be the better option to play through there.
It's always funny, someone plays a funky shot, gets themselves into a tangle, and then they just play a regular one, goes for 4. You go, why are you complicating things so much? Dances down and looks to hit it over mid-on's head, who's inside the ring. Big chase for George Dockrell, but the ball wins. Back-to-back boundaries.
Easily we see Barry McCarthy going through a little bit of a warm-up here. As you see, back-to-back boundaries here. Takes him on to 34.
That's the wrists out. Tim texted as well. Big over to finish here for Gavin Hoey. Could have been so different if that catch had been taking the second ball. 9 runs since then. Well read by John McNally. It's the top spinner, but it doesn't get the distance. Just lacks the power. And what was looking like a really promising partnership comes to an end. George Dockrell takes a pretty regulation catch. And Gavin Hoey finishes his spell 4 for 25. Gets rid of the dangerous McNally. 108 for 5.
Yeah, I was just looking at the partnership there to see what it had reached. It's 44. And as you mentioned, starting to look a little bit dangerous, but that's kind of what you were saying, is he, times to come in future when he's a little bit more confident about his shot. That'll probably go and sail. Just didn't get all of it. You don't want to pick out George Dockrell.
He's still only, what 19, 20?
Yep.
So there's a lot of strength to be added there. Goes for 10 from 14. Probably the only day he's missed out with the bat.
Yeah, but even though he's not scored the amount of runs today that he has in the last 2, he's still stayed around with Roux, who has been scoring runs. And I mean, that partnership was 44 off 29. So although John McNally himself hasn't been scoring runs there, he's been involved in a partnership which has given them an opportunity here. 108 for 5 with 5 to go. So a good finish here, and they could still get up to 150, 160. Keane Hilton's come in now. Won't be on strike. Barry McCarthy comes back.
Yeah, good hard length. Just can't get the arms through there, Roux. Keane Hilton 10 yesterday from 8. It was a useful contribution. He was batting quite close to the end of the game, or of the innings, with Stephen Doheny. And he did his main job, which is just handing the strike back. I think he got 1 boundary in there as well. Change in the field. Third goes out. Point comes in. Got cover out as well. Long on. Fine leg and square. And immediately that fielder has been brought in. Stops a single. 0 for 3. It just doesn't look right, does it? 0 for 3 from 2 overs.
Not really. Just remember a spell last year he bowled in the first festival last year. I think he took 5 for 3, something like that.
Yeah. very different conditions.
It was slightly different. It wasn't quite as sunny. Pitch was, let's say, early season, but still 5 for 3s. Not the worst set of figures.
Yeah, easily the best in Interpro T20 history.
I would stick my neck out and say somebody's going to have to take 6 to beat that. It's an excellent spell this time. It was a lot earlier in the season, as I say. Played the first festival really early in the season at Pembroke. This year, as we've referenced a few times, playing 4 festivals in 4 weeks.
Oh.
Well, I've never seen that before from Barry McCarthy.
No. That was very strange.
Hello.
As if he doesn't have enough to think about. He's adding in a little shimmy of his own.
Yeah, went on the zigzag there. There you go. And he'll come back in. That's a new one. I wonder if the Ireland bowling coach is watching that one. That's a really strange one. Something new. Barry McCarthy, we always call out for a little bit of innovation towards the end. More regular this time. Will be just a single.
He's really put a halt, hasn't he, to Philippe Leroux's march. He started to find the rope with regularity. Barry McCarthy comes in with a very specific plan. Just the 3 singles so far this over.
The total's just 6 from those 17 deliveries. See what he's got for us now. Off this last ball. Done it again.
Slower ball, and it's right through Cian Hilton, who didn't pick up the pace. So 16 overs gone. Munster Reds 111 for 5.
Yeah, real good stuff from Barry McCarthy there. See, just the back of the hand there, and again, practicing those skills in game. Good to see. Lovely little spot to be watching cricket there. Here at the Mardike. Those 3 little kids you can see right in the middle of the screen there. They've been fantastic all week.
They've got more training in the last 3 days than lots of international cricketers get in 3 days. And I love the stat. Every time there's a wicket, they have to run a lap.
They do a lap, yeah. They've also been picking up a few balls that have been deposited out of the ground. They've been ball search, and they've been fantastic all week.
Yeah, they're here before the first game. They've got a few hours of training in between the games, and then mid-innings, getting their fitness in, running around whenever there's a wicket as well.
And they can play a bit too. I've watched them on the outfield here. Excellent they've been.
Devraj back into the attack. Good work from Tim Tector in point. Leroux was dropped on 25. He's now made his way up to 38. Just shows how costly drops can be. Didn't quite get the direction right, but spilled by Gavin Hoey, so they'll be able to come back for 2. That's Cian Hilton with a 2. That'll make him feel a bit better.
Yeah, 4.5 or so overs to go here. 3.5 rather.
Goes outside off stump, but unless the stumps have moved, I think we can say with confidence that it's not out LBW, despite the fact that a few fielders and the bowler went up.
He made a bit of a mess of himself there, Cian Hilton. They get out the dive in the end. A bit of run of repairs here. Yeah.
Helped around the corner. Has it helped? He helped it into the hands now, wide of the fielder in the deep. Not the right length, and so good on the sweep, so it's almost like a sweep shot to a seamer from Philippe Leroux.
Yeah, very similar technique there. The sweep off the spinners. Just helps it round the corner. He bent that front leg. Puts it in the gap. Picks up another boundary. He moves to 42.
The effort ball and helps it into the clubhouse. All that the extra bit of pace has done is serve to help Philippe Leroux go all the way for 6, and he's marching towards a half century. Very handy little knock this from the stand-in skipper from Tuesday.
Yeah, you can hear the extra effort from Devaraj, but as you say, too wide. Just telling Philippe Leroux to put that into the stands, which he duly did.
Slower delivery. That's a better change-up, I think. Cian Hilton putting in the big hard yards. Well done.
Yeah, he's made his name on his club, his running, but that takes Philippe Leroux through to a very, very well made half century off just 29 deliveries. Came in a real difficult period for his team. He's gone through with 5 4s and 2 6s, including 1 in that over. So a real good knock from Leroux. He's been in good form in the IP20. In day 3, he's got a half century here. Takes his team to 127 with 3 overs to go. Matt Hollard comes back, 1 for 14 from his 2.
Great shot from Cian Hilton. He's decided, right, I'm going to start adding to the score sheet. A little clip off the legs. That gives you an idea quite how short the boundary is there, but also about the extra pace of Matt Hollard.
Yep, just picked up off the leg stump. Followed through it again. Down that area you can just stand and watch it sail. No danger at all. As Hollard come back. Goes offside and beats McCarthy, so it's 6-4 to start the over from Hilton.
Yeah, really good from him. 10 from the first 2 deliveries in this third over of Hollard. I reckon this is pace off, so he's had to muscle it down the ground. Yeah, just rolls the fingers over, and I think Cian Hilton was expecting that.
Yeah, it looked like it. I'm just, about how these batters are able to pick pace so well. Quicker ball, slower ball.
I think sometimes it's about how they set up the mindset before the delivery. Okay, I'm thinking it's a slower ball, so I'm going to be in this position, or whatever it might be. Pace on again, uses that pace, but the field is set for that shot.
Conversation there with Barry McCarthy. That brings Leroux back on strike.
Very toey. He caught that on the inside half of his toe, Philippe Leroux. So he'll just walk down the other end. I think it must be nice for him to watch his partner hitting it around from the other end. He's been doing a lot of the heavy lifting in this innings so far. Fielder next recover deep on the ring. Brilliant stuff from Tim Tector.
Yeah, well, it was good stuff because I actually just happened to be looking at Tim Tector as the shot was played, and he was almost on his way back to the edge of the circle and going left as that shot was played, and it worked out in his favour because that's where it went. Good anticipation. Meant he could cut it off rather than it going out towards the boundary. Just a single.
3 singles since the 2 boundaries at the beginning of the over.
It's going to be over. Tim Tector, he tried to judge that one as well, but good connection from Hilton. And he started with 2 boundaries and he ends with 1 more.
I think that he was encouraged to bowl that ball by Byron McCarthy and it didn't pay off. Good hands, it just sat up. Pitch a little bit tired, so at that length and at that pace it just sits up waiting to be hit. Philippe Leroux, another boundary to his tally. Expensive over for the Leinster Lightning.
Yep, 17 from it. Exactly what the Reds needed. So you look down there, 144, 2 to go. There's your bowling card. Those economy rates just heading up a little bit, bar the one at the top. You would assume that McCarthy will be returning for the last over because it's going to be Harry Tector. He's going to bowl number 19 to Hilton, who's moved on to 15 from 10. There's that round arm again, just pushing it across. Right-hander from round the wicket.
That's going to be another boundary. This time it's Cian Hilton once more. He's really got into the swing of things in this game against Leinster Lightning. Gets inside the line to beat the fielder in the deep.
Yeah, and the double bluff with the first movement here. See the back leg. There he goes. As if to go leg side, but instead comes back offside.
Yeah, much slower through the air from Harry Tector there.
That's the game here because the last one, Cian Hilton won the battle, but that time Harry Tector got it right. Didn't take the bluff. Change of angle.
Andy Balbirnie hasn't had enough of cricket over the last few days. He's going to play some more in the corner with his son. Good to see him enjoying the Cork sunshine. He's going to have to do a bit of fielding in the deep.
He's going to have gone to this one.
And George Dockrell thought he was in with a shout for a very long time, but he's going to be the one who picked it up. If you do have kids down at the cricket, you got to keep your eyes on the ball because you never know when it's going to come your way. This one went much higher than long. Just held it back, Harry Tector coming over the wicket, but Hilton has enough power.
Fair play to him. Andrew was watching the ball very clearly there.
I think even if you're listening, if you listen closely enough and you're close enough to your child, you're okay. You hear the sound off the bat, you know there's danger afoot.
Immediately the instinct kicks in and you look up. Yep.
Good bowling from Tector.
Yeah, 3 dots, yeah.
He's going to change the field, bring square up and put kind of backward point or wide third, whichever you're having yourself, out on the boundary.
Yeah, we've struggled all week what to call that position. it's just been so
Tennis
difficult
courts.
down there, yeah.
We'll just call it the tennis courts.
Dockrell in business this time. Yep. No mistake. From Dockrell. Cian Hilton's little cameo. 25. He makes 15. Good support for Leroux. You mentioned it. Leroux needed somebody to help out. And after a difficult start, Hilton came to the fore there. A couple of boundaries, a couple of sixes. But he goes now. Tector picks up a wicket from his last delivery.
Yeah, he was always going to push it across. It just didn't. I think he tried to go too square there, Cian Hilton. If he'd actually kind of nearly swept it down the ground, he might have gone better. But George Dockerell's been in the firing line down there at long on. Gets underneath it, takes a good catch. Hilton goes 25 from 16. The Reds 154 for 6. But yeah, really handy partnership there. Just it's 46 added for the Cian Hilton wicket. He's scored about just above half of those.
Yeah, that backs up the 44 from the previous wicket, so very important partnerships there. Get the Reds in with a shout here, over 150 now. McCarthy back for the last. To re-bowl that one.
Always Sager, the new batsman in at the non-strikers, and he was the late replacement for Ben White to play the first game. Sliced away. They're going to try and push for 2. Gavin Hoey, I think that's spun and almost beaten him, so they will come back for the second.
He's had a tough time out there. Gavin Hoy, a few have spun on him. A few have been in that no man's land. Do you go for the catch or the stop? Difficult spot for Hoy out there, but I think he preferred ball in hand when he was bowling.
Not for just 9 from Barry McCarthy. Incredibly economical bowling from the seamer.
Hoy again. This one's slightly easier for him to judge.
So 4 deliveries you've got. Always Sager. What can you do? I saw him warming up before the game. He was practicing a lot of power hitting. No surprise when you're batting at 7 or 8. Can you ruin the bowling figures of Barry McCarthy? Get him grumpy.
Dare you?
Slower delivery, clever thinking out the back of the hand from Barry McCarthy, going through his array of skills. See, even if all the remaining deliveries go for 4, it still won't ruin the figures of Barry McCarthy. More than respectable.
Yeah, it was death bowling tonight. In the last 2 days has been really good. Came back well yesterday.
Philippe Leroux frustrated because I think he thought that was going to be a wide, but even though it's a full toss, it's inside the line. That's the key thing. So you'd have to say from where they were, Munster Reds, they've come back pretty well. 56 for 3 they were after 9. So to get to add over 100 in the next 10 overs, they've done well. They're going to look to try and add 6 more, but there's a fielder there. Yeah, they managed to get it just over the head of the fielder, Matthew Hollard. Just has the legs because it's right towards that cut-off boundary. Ryan McCarthy, that's the first 6 he's gone for in the day.
Just got enough on it. Did Leroux. You'll see it. The fielder possibly just mistimed the jump there. Goes for 6.
Well, if Jason Holder was there, he could have just stood still and taken it head high.
Absolutely.
Another full wide one they're going to take on. Barry McCarthy decides not to throw it. So bye. A little bit of a quiet end to the innings, but a decent one for Munster Reds. 11 from it. McCarthy's bowled his spell for just 17 runs. No wickets, but really economical. 20 overs gone, it's 166 for 6, and I think Munster Reds, considering how they started, they'll be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I think so. Losing Doheny for 35 when they did. And a couple of wickets after that. They were in a perilous position, but a couple of good partnerships towards the end there, 44 and 46. Gets them up to that total. Excellent innings from Roux. Similarly though, I think the Lightning be happy enough for that. The batting lineup that they've got.
Yeah, I think they'll be confident they can chase it down. And for once, the Munster Reds, it's the middle order that's come to the party. Philippe Leroux standing tall with 64 from just 36 deliveries. He was given a life on 25 and he took full toll on that. Doheny kept going on his merry way, 35 from 21, but eventually he's been got out. And Hilton, he had a handy little knock, 25 from 16. All in all, I think Munster Reds, considering where they were, will be happy with 166 for 6, and the partnership at the top, and then a couple near the end were the important ones. Leroux with McNally in particular, I think, got the innings going.
Here's your bowling figures for the Lightning up top. Barry McCarthy bowled his 2 overs in the power play for just 3 and came back really well as well. Might not have got any wickets, but none for 17. Big wicket taker is Gavin Hoey, 4 for 25 from his 4. Wickets for Hollard and Tector also. And well, Ruben Wilson, a little bit of a hard day at the office there, 14 and over for him. So 166 for 6, stand out there. Philippe Leroux, he was just 2 runs from 8 balls faced. He ends up with 64 from 36. Excellent from Leroux. As I say, Hoey with 4 for 25 and McCarthy none for 17 from his 4. So 167 for the Lightning. Which of these two teams will depart the Mardike with 2 wins from the week? The second innings will be coming up very shortly. Join us then.
Welcome back to the final innings of the first festival in the Interprovincial T20 Trophy. Munster Reds batted first, having won the toss, and they managed to amass 166 runs. So it's 167 for victory for the Leinster Lightning, and after a loss on the opening day, they'll be very pleased if they can come away with 2 wins out of 3. And opening the bowling for the Munster Reds will be Liam McCarthy, who's had a rough time of it the last 7 or so days. Not even 7, is it? It's more like 5. But
Sunday through Thursday, yeah. Yeah, it's been a great festival here to kick us off. Down in Cork, beautiful weather as we've talked about. Maybe the only thing missing over the first 3 days is a last over thriller. Will this be the one to close us out today? As you say, 167 required. McCarthy's going to kick us off, bowling to Tim Tector.
Tim Tector was the top scorer for Leinster Lightning yesterday. Very good runner between the wickets, so he'll come back for 2 of the first delivery. Slip in place. When you talk about a last over thriller, it's almost guaranteed that the day everyone's thinking about getting on the road and heading home, that we have our last over thriller.
Haven't thought about it once, is he?
No, it's not. It hasn't occurred to you the 5 hours back up the road, has it? Good pace. Very, very good from Liam McCarthy, who enjoyed that one. Just a bit of extra follow through, and he deserves that because it's been tough, as I've said. And do you know who else hasn't thought about the trip up the road? I'm sure is Justin, the analyst, who's going to be dropping you off and then have a further journey, and he's going to arrive home tomorrow, I believe.
It is. It's going to be probably Friday, no doubt, I would think, by the time we're heading. So, yeah, very grateful. Justin Smith does a lot of good work on these interprovincials.
God, imagine. Really good from behind the stumps from Cian Hilton. Does everything right to try and cut that off, but can't prevent the opening boundary of the Leinster reply.
Yeah, a little bit fortunate, more than a little bit in fact, under edge. Even though he gets a left glove on it, we've talked about it all week. The ball just runs away down to the boundary really quickly. Seems to gather pace. Fortunate boundary for Tector. It's full, but it has the man out there, as we've seen all week with the Reds. They start with 2 boundary riders on the square. 1 point on the square leg.
Christopher is another man who hasn't maybe had the best of it leading into this match. 5 in the opening match, 12 yesterday. Just tucks it into the leg side, gets off strike.
Yeah, we had sort of publicised about possibly Chris DeFreitas. Certainly in 50 over cricket and club cricket he opens the batting quite a lot, but maybe in T20 somebody like a Seamus Lynch who opened in day 1. Obviously the Lightning were without their internationals at that stage, so Lynch and DeFreitas opened that day, but Tim Tector back now. Possibly we'd have thought that maybe Seamus Lynch would have been the one to stay rather than DeFreitas, but they've gone with these 2. End of the first. A fortunate boundary on it. It goes for 8. 8 without loss.
Yeah, I think with a batting lineup, it's what way we want to go about it. Do you want 2 hitters? Because I think Tim Tector is the one who's been given that job in the Leinster Lightning setup to go in at the top and try and hit boundaries, make use of the power play, and DeFreitas maybe is the one who's allowed to just work it around rather than both Seamus Lynch and Tim Tector going after the ball. Seamus Lynch, for me, I think he's the best suited to actually making use of the only two fielders being out.
And also maybe the fact that they're chasing today, no target that they've got to get to.
Yeah, the other thing as well is Tim Tector has got a chance in the Ireland team, and he's batting at 5 there. How much of that does it? How much does that play on your mind as a coach and as a captain, trying to let him practice the skills that he's going to then be expected to use in the senior team? Big appeal. I think there's a bit of bat on that. It's far away back to your Nabi. We didn't get to see him bat today. That's a disappointment.
It is. That's what he did on Tuesday. It's given room by De Freitas to go through the offside. She had it past the field here. Mentioned it earlier. Not many have held up. That one runs away for 4. Just stayed with the shot long enough.
Yeah, clever thinking. He knows that Nabi doesn't want to give him any width because the field is all up on the offside. So he backs away, gives himself room and finds the gap. Now dances down and goes for the 6. Beautiful looking stuff from Chris De Freitas. When he's on song, there are few better to watch.
Well, that's, as you say, lovely to watch. Didn't seem to really hit that hard, but all timing. Right off the middle and carries a long way.
Good comeback from Nabi. You have to be brave as a spinner. You know that players are going to come after you. Got to have a plan on how you're going to counteract the attacking plan of these openers. Fielder in the deep, but he's not in the frame all the way. Watch out in the windows. Yeah. Obviously got the strong ones in there because it doesn't even look like a dent has been made. 6 more.
We're going to get our first crowd catch of the week. Fortunately not there as it comes off the window. Attempted, but not made.
I think that's Kate McKenna over there that just nearly lost her life trying to get out of the way of that one.
Well, it's 6 more. Again, De Freitas goes to the leg, but this time picks out the fielder.
Eventful over. 2 6s and a 4 in it. So back to your Nabi, thinking to do 16 in that over, and after 2, Leinster Lightning 24 without loss.
Yeah, 6 for 6 over. Extra cover. Really nice shot from De Freitas. Then he muscled one to leg. 24 on the board. Josh Manley to take over number 3.
I'll have to apologise to Kate McKenna. I don't think that was her who was ducking for cover. A lookalike. Josh Manley gets the top edge. Cian Hilton calls underneath it. Nobody manages to get there. Back to your Nabi. Was in 3rd. He thought about coming around. Never easy when they go straight over your head. So difficult to judge where they are, but this is a chance gone down.
Tim Tector's reaction there says it all. Lack of communication between the two. Goes down. Will that be a costly miss? So how costly the miss was yesterday. Be a wide.
Just about a wide, almost to no ball. But yeah, we had a dropped catch earlier today. The Roux was dropped on 25. And that was pretty costly. Finished up more than doubling that score. What can Tim Tector do?
probably the one area where we've seen this week batting's been pretty decent. Bit of a mixed bag with the catching. There's been some really good ones. So the Warriors on Tuesday, I thought their catching was excellent, but seen a few go down. Probably should have been taken.
Well, that one was difficult, but we've seen a few regulation ones go down. Josh Manley's been at the receiving end as well. That's two that have come off his bowling that haven't been taken. Looking for the leg stump Yorker, just misses Josh Manley. 167 to win, so if these two have a good opening stand, they'll break the back of that. It's kind of a middling target. What they need is someone like a Barry McCarthy spell, or even better, Gavin Hoey.
Yep. Wicket's key. We always talk about it.
But they don't have his Ben White, the leg spinner, to come and take 5 like he did yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, big miss here today, Ben White. Look at, going through Stephen Doheny's records from yesterday. How do we look at Ben White as well? Just the second man to take 2 5-fers in IP20. Craig Young the other.
Lifted over, 1 bounce and 4. Elegant to the last, Christopher Freitas.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Elegance indeed.
Elegance personified.
He's not over hitting the ball. As you can see, just plays through the line. Dead straight. 1 bounce. Over the boundary.
Slip comes out.
Slip out. We almost in unison we watched him go.
We've had a lot of practice. Christopher Freitas, I'm not sure that's necessary. Keep hitting it in the conventional areas. It's working so well. If he'd made contact there, I think the most likely thing that would have happened is it went into his stumps.
Yep, I see that type of shot more and more these days, but still to be 1 over, really.
Johnny Kennedy signals a wide. Josh Manley not happy, but Christopher Freitas, I don't think he's vertically challenged necessarily, but he's definitely not one of the taller men going around this interprovincial T20 trophy festival. I'm just having a think about the Munster Reds. They are depleted without Curtis Camphor and Gareth Delaney, 2 bowlers and 2 batters. So as you said the other day, it's almost like losing 4. Add Ben White to that, and Mike Frost, and they're operating with 1 arm tied behind their backs, but a good finish there with a dot. Expensive over from Manny, 10 in it, 3 gone, 34 without loss.
Quick chat from Josh Manley. He's got a smile really on his face. Takes a lot to annoy him. And a quick chat with umpire Black there about that wide. Didn't cost too much though. He managed to get out with a dot ball at the end. Yeah, tough on the Reds indeed with injuries. You know, 2 stellar players in Delaney and Camphor not available at the minute. And the slight negative for them is, again, we've talked about it, that the tournament is quite close now, week to week to week. So no big gap to allow those 2 players in particular to return, you would think.
Well, there was chat about Curtis Camphor getting back with that fractured finger for the weekend, so maybe he's a hope. Slice and Going to bounce over the rope. No control there from Tim Tector. John McNally's first ball still goes for 4.
Yep. Just off a thickish edge there. Full ball. First up from McNally. He plays with one hand. And flies over our favourite short third man position. Much more authoritative, that one. That'll be into the hedges on the leg side. Then McCarthy just looks up and almost signals for Mark Hawthorne to head out. That's gone out the park on their part.
Yeah, front foot pull shot from Tim Tector there. Trademark shot for him. A tall guy, and at the pace that John McNally's bowling, he cannot bowl that length.
There's Mark Hawthorne. I wonder if our intrepid ball searchers are on their way.
Well, one of them is our cameraman Gleb, who found one of the balls from earlier in the hedge, so that's one back into the ball suitcase. Johnny Kennedy's thinking about the journey home. He's jogging back out.
So, pressure on. McNally straight up here. Semi-fortunate 40 open over, but much more authoritative shot there from Tim Tector. Second up, so 10 off 2.
That's a great shot. Not a bad ball, but a man in form that's gone all the way for back-to-back 6s. Oh, I thought that had gone all the way. It hasn't. It's gone and bounced before the rope.
I think that was going all the way just on the basis of the shot. Just steps away, and similar to the Christopheridis off the spinner. And that's off the seamer. Really pleasing on the eye. Just inside the boundary, I think.
Yeah, just inside the rope, so that's my excuse. To the naked eye from quite far away.
It's a long way away to that corner.
I'll wait for the umpire signal next time. Gets Tector off strike. Good piece of fielding in mid-wicket from Bakhtir Nabi. In fact, that's Suleiman Safi. Bakhtir Nabi at mid-on. Just starting to look a little bit tired, Munster Reds. It's been a long few days. The sun has been beating down. Last game of 6. They've been under the pump quite a lot in all 3 games. Mentally fatiguing. They need to break this partnership.
We'll be on the roof, I think. Josh Manley trying to pay a little fake there. He was under that, but absolutely no chance. That's gone well over the boundary. Brings up to 50 already for the Lightning. And they're in a hurry. Again, just a little bit too short for McNally.
3 for 33 and 1 for 18 in the first 2 games. So he's bowled well for the Reds coming up to today, but he's already gone for 21. And he just looks a little bit mentally frayed. So Captain Stephen Doheny coming over and having a chat. Goes the slower ball and chance down. Did Bakhtir Nabi need to jump there? They needed to take wickets. They had an opportunity and the chance goes down. Another drop. This time it's the other opener.
Yeah, 1 life each here now. Slower ball. That really should be taken. Didn't need the jump, as you say. Or if they needed it certainly needed to be a lot better timing on it. Didn't really look comfortable, really. We're looking pretty straight at it. McNally could have done with that, really. 21 off the first 5 deliveries. Wouldn't have made up for the previous 5, but it certainly would have made him feel a little bit better. 23 from it, 57 from the first 4. And McCarthy back, and yeah, somebody's got to break this and break it quick. Nicely bowled.
Yeah, good execution right up in the block hole. Tim Tector's on the march and on the hunt for boundaries. 24 from 11. De Freitas has faced a couple more balls and he's hit a few more runs. 30 from 13.
Yeah, just a little bit different, as you say. Seamus Lynch was out there and him and Tim Tector were going at it. Both be sort of muscling it over the boundary. De Freitas, as we said, is a little bit more, I don't know, we'd say pleasing on the eye, but that's going to beat Manley again. We've saw it all week. We've watched the ball run away from fielders in that corner. Just one more time. It may not be one more time. It might happen a few more, but we thought that Manley was in the game there, but it just, as I say, continues to gather pace just there.
Yeah, you're never in with a chance when it starts approaching that cut-off boundary.
Yep.
It just takes the opportunity to cut it off away from you.
Yeah, the angle's always against you there.
Excellent from McCarthy. A little bit fuller. And Tim Tector is good on both the front foot and the back foot, but I think against the seamers, if he had to choose, he'd look for short deliveries. Quiet Munster Reds out there. They've been hit around the park in these opening 4.5 overs. Good carry. Very good carry from Liam McCarthy. That had extra spice on it.
Yeah, good stuff. Aaron Seymour. Tim Tector's in this mood. Don't see too many top balls, but 3 in this over so far. He close it out here. 2 more. It's well bowled. We'll go for the single. It is well bowled. No leeway for Tector to get under that. He's happy enough to pay respect to a good ball. Take a single.
Good over from McCarthy. Still hammering away. Ball with good pace. Margins are so small, especially at the pace that he's bowling at. Matt Hollard's the other one who's got the extra bit of pace. Tom Mays as well. Catching chance. Oh, well, that's got the orthodontist written all over it for Stephen Doheny. Thought about going for the catch, but I don't think could have made it. But because he'd gone for the catch first, he wasn't able to stop the 4. Good bowling from Liam McCarthy, but just doesn't quite go to hand.
Yeah, just those little fine margins for the Reds not going their way. Good batting from the Lightning, but just those little fine margins. They haven't helped themselves with a couple of drops, granted. That one just bounces in front of Doheny and skips away for another boundary. 66 already on the board. Spin, so Mudkill looks to be taking the last over of the power play. Long on is already in position. Of course, just 2 allowed out in this last over of the power play. Boundary rider at wicket. say, long on. So everybody up on the offside.
Full toss is not what they would have expected. John McNally watch as well. Just the one, that's a bit of a surprise from these two.
Yeah, it was. McNally's left, but fair play to him, he was pretty quick around, but still, given what we've witnessed from Tector and DeFreitas, you'd have thought maybe they'd have gone through for two. Left-hander now, so of course there'll be a change in field.
Too flighted, much too slow, too full, goes all the way for 6. Swapping on Modgill by and large has darted the ball in when we've seen him bowl this week. But this was a gift for DeFreitas, who's already finding himself at 40 from just 15 deliveries.
Yeah, really floated up there, and you can see immediately. Modgill knew that that was gone. We almost called it before the shot. Thrown up. It hasn't been a great deal of turn over these 3 days. And throwing the ball up there to try and rip one past the bat.
I think the plan might have been, because we've seen Chris DeFreitas, he'll run at the first ball from a spinner. So Modgill's thinking, right, I'll float it and I'll bowl it full outside off. But DeFreitas just stood and whacked it. So there's a plan, just didn't come off.
That's much more authoritative. That's gone even further if that's possible. Real clean hit that time, straight as a die. 6 more.
Yeah, I think if there was no net there, it would have gone further. It hasn't gone as high as the previous one. Much flatter delivery. Stand and deliver. A little shuffle down from DeFreitas. Get some momentum into the shot. And once more, this gamble by Stephen Doheny not paying off. 3 sixes so far. 50 for Chris DeFreitas.
Pretty sure now that takes us past 100 sixes for this festival. Crazy.
52 from 17, but yeah, it's 6 sixes for Chris DeFreitas. That'll get you to 50 in quick time. 3 fours to add to that.
Work to do there. Can't do it. It's going to go for 4, I think. Yep. Needs the backward point fielder. Runs are coming aplenty here.
We've had a lot of high scoring this week, but this is by far the best power play for a batting side. I think the other highest was first game yesterday. That's going to beat Stephen Doheny. And so the power play finishes with 93 on the board. 6, 6, 6, 4, 4. Take a break, swapping on Modgill.
Yeah, comes on for 6 balls. Might not see him again. 93 off the first 6, and there's DeFreitas' wagon wheel coming up for you. 6s straight down the ground, 4 of them, 2 square. Throw in 3 boundaries, and that'll rack up a half century. As you say, is in quick time. Moves on to 60 already, off just 19. 93 already on the board. Just check out your run rate required already. 5.29. With just 6 overs gone.
Well, the next best power play in this festival, 73 for 3, Northwest Warriors, they finished on 130.
I was going to say yesterday probably they were rattling along.
Edged, and that's the way it's going for Leinster Lightning today, and that's the way it's going for John McNally as well. He's had a couple of edges off his bowling, and each time they've gone for 4.
Yep, kicks the turf. A little bit of frustration, but not much you can do there. They're going to be having a slip in at 93 for none off 6.
Batter's game.
Definitely a batter's game here. But
well, the great thing about festival cricket is you can have a quiet few days, and then third day, have a day like Christopher Freitas, 60 from 19. They're definitely in search of a bonus point, Leinster Lightning. Almost the 100 partnership, and we're only in the 7th over. Actually, I'm incorrect about the second best power play. It was 81 for 2, which was the Northern Knights yesterday chasing the Munster Reds.
I think that was against the Reds. Yeah, you're right, because I think they have... Oh, could be. Oh, just got his hand to it. Just one of it sticks. It sticks. But again, just the way it's going for the Reds. Yeah, I think they have struggled in the power plays, the Reds. This is just one on your follow through. Just try and get your hands up and trust a little bit of good fortune. There's not much of that going Munster's way at the minute. Both batters have faced 19 deliveries here at the moment. Tector's on 35, so just below 200, and you would think that's pretty reasonable. We'll look at the guy on the other side. 60 off 19.
Yeah, 300 strike rate, or actually north of that. You know, we're entering the territory for the bowlers where you're trying to get something out of it for yourself, rather than thinking, how are we going to win the game? It's how can I construct a good over? How can I pull these figures back? 9 deliveries for McNally, 29 runs so far. $100 up with a leg bite. Unless he hits here, it doesn't decide to throw. I think he would have been safe, but the 100 comes up in the 7th over. It's the 100 for the team, but also the 100 for the opening partnership.
Yeah, Tector on 35, De Freitas 60, comes from just the 40 deliveries, and in half an hour the Lightning have pretty much put this game away. 100 for none.
Well bowled. Took a big step outside off stump there. Tim Tector trying to access the cut-off boundary. Bill's nice and full outside off, and all Tim Tector can do is get a single. Showing some mental fortitude here, John McNally. High cost there, there's a couple of wides going to be. It all comes down to how much the final delivery goes for. He's so good. He's got such good hands, Christopher Freitas. I think the idea from McNally is to come around the wickets, bowl in at the pads, try and take that strength away from him. Yeah, good decision not to go for the catch there. One bounce and just a single, so not too costly, those wides. And somewhat gets out of the over after an edge off the first. 7 overs gone. Leinster Lightning 103 without loss.
Well, that's pretty much ticked all numbers on the clock there. That's the team wagon wheel for the Lightning. All those red lines have been disappearing over the boundary. Added in with lots of blues. And I think 2 white lines there for 2 twos. Not many singles. And that adds up to what you see on the screen there. There's your Manhattan. Lots of tall building blocks in blue. And just at this time you can see a couple of blocks with those little dots on top signifying wickets for the Reds. As I say, that wagon wheel signifies that 103 off 7. Down the track again from De Freitas. And another maximum in that area. As soon as the fielder looks down, pretty sure that he's thinking that that's going to go above his head, trying to work out where his feet are. That's well over. Now you see, looks to where the boundary is, and that's the killer sign. Ball's going to go over his head.
A rare dot.
It very much is that rare species today of a dot.
Well, there were plenty earlier. Just this afternoon it seems to have got a little bit easier going into the evening time. Bouncer from the spinner. Good thinking. Wants to try and make sure he gets hit to the long boundary bowl at the other guy.
Yep, he's just sitting at 175, the other guy. 110 without loss.
Looking for a 2. Just got a little bit too much on it, and Liam McCarthy does well. Comes in, keeps it to a single. That brings De Freitas on strike. Who's got the highest strike rate of the week? Ali, that's your next test.
I'm going to have a punt here on Stephen Doheny.
For a while there it was Chris De Freitas, but he's had a quiet couple of balls by his standards today. Six off the first delivery. Been a good comeback from Swapnan Mogul, but he's still got to negotiate one delivery. Lovely shot.
Yeah, only 4. Really nice shot. You can't really defend that, to be honest with you. He's just hit that through the covers, right along the carpet. On the boundary to finish the over. 6 to start. 4 to finish. Mudgill's gone for 40 from just 2. Leinster Lightning 116 without loss.
Yeah, at this point I think as a bowler you're not making eye contact with the captain, are you?
Yeah, well, Josh Manley's been hauled in, press ganged into service. I think that's the case. Josh is pretty keen to get ball in hand at any stage, but difficult situation.
I was surprised he didn't get the 7th over, and then I was very surprised he didn't get the 8th over, but he's reappearing in the 9th.
Yeah, 116, just a 51 required for the Lightning. Looking very much like the team that's going to take the 2 wins away.
Yeah, 2 wins and 2 bonus points as well. So he'll be on 10 points at the end of today, you'd imagine. Interesting pull shot. He almost dived into that, didn't he? Chris De Freitas. Suleiman Safi doing well in the deep. A little bit of a fumble, but doesn't cost the second.
Tim Tector on 41. Century yesterday. He'll be looking at another one today, just 9 away from it.
Well bowled. Does enough as well to stop them getting the single as Stephen Doheny comes around and collects. Not going to carry.
Yep, Philippe Leroux down there. Long on. Just one more to the total. So we're watching two singles off 3 balls is like real gold dust for the minute. You know, it's the Freitas is thinking that should be a wide.
I think he chased it so much that he actually got himself underneath the ball, even though it was down leg. But yeah, very quiet over. And I mean, for Chris de Freitas, you know, you're going so well. There can be a bowler where you just go, "Oh, it's not my matchup today. Everyone else, I'm taking down. Maybe I just knock it around against this guy." No, he doesn't. Straight through. One shot too many for Chris de Freitas. It's been an entertaining knock and one that's pretty much put this fixture to bed as a contest. 70 from 28. And Josh Manley, well, he's happy. He got brought back on for a second in the 9th, but the damage is done. 7 sixes, 5 fours, and a strike rate of just under 250. Well done, Chris de Freitas. It's been great to watch. 118 for 1.
Yeah, he's a social media dream, is Josh Manley. He'll give you plenty of entertainment, despite the fact his team are really struggling here. He's kept at it here on a length there, and Mr. Freitas just loses a little bit of shape there on that one. He's been really elegant in this 70. Just lost his head position a little bit there. Manley gets his wicket. 118 for 1 will bring Harry Tector in to join his brother Tim, who's on 42.
Yeah, a lot of these Leinster Lightning players only getting to play 2 games, rested for the first. So Harry Tector would love a red inker and a few runs. 14 from 17 yesterday. And straight away, wouldn't you know it, slip in place.
Yeah.
Pressure straight on.
Yeah, just one of those situations. Not really much to gain here for Harry Tector. There's only 40. Only could get himself a nice, comfortable little 20 here. And is very correct with his first ball.
2 runs and 1 wicket in the over.
What's
An
happening to this
unusual
game?
one. Yeah, where is this going? 118 for 1 from 9.
A bit of by play between Manley and Rolly Black there.
Back to Yarnaby. Back into the action. Modgill service is no longer required. Into position early, Tim Tector. but the fielding good enough to keep it to 1. Liam McCarthy in the deep there.
They're on strike.
Onto the back foot, not sure that's the best option. Harry Tector. Yeah, comes forward. Easily picked up by Stephen Doheny.
Yeah, I've been a little bit quiet there. I'm trying to find that strike rate for you.
Well, that's good power down the ground. Modgill comes round, does well. Well, what have you come up with? There's 241 for Krista Freitas.
Overall, for the tournament, 240 is Doheny. Krista Freitas is coming in at 200 right now, but obviously that won't include that knock, so it could be pretty close. I'd say, but Doheny's still ahead.
What about Cade Carmichael?
Cade Carmichael is second on the list, I think, at the minute. No, he's 183. That's in total runs, is Cade Carmichael. In terms of strike rate.
That's a big shout. It could be out. It is.
Yep.
Goes across, looks for the sweep. Just skids through. Tim Tector follows his opening partner soon after. Nabby back on and effective. Tim Tector goes for a very well made 45, but he won't get back-to-back half centuries. 122 for 2.
Yeah, good ball. Nabby. He'll be pleased with that. Pick up Tector's wicket. And again, well played from Tim Tector, 45 from just 27. And really, this game just stay a little bit low, possibly. Played over the top from Tector. And a bit of frustration there as he heads off. That's 122 for the loss of the 2 openers who have been on a century partnership for the Lightning. Just 45 needed from 60. Moves above more than 100 runs. Morgan Topping is second on the list at 212. I do say that obviously De Freitas' innings here won't be included just yet. I haven't got, not that good. To work that out, to add all that in. Yeah.
Surprised to see a change in bowling. Liam McCarthy back in, replaces Josh Manley. I think could have done with another over. And take on Philippe Roux.
Yep, Lorcan Tucker, Lightning captain. Comes out to the middle.
I'm sure he was enjoying watching his opening pair go about their business.
Absolutely. We thought be a difficult pitch and a difficult chase. As you said, a little bit of a middling score.
Good from Liam McCarthy. It's been nice to see him in the deep here chatting to some of the kids at Cork County Cricket Club, keeping a smile on his face and enjoying his cricket regardless of what's happening when he's got ball in hand.
Beats Tucker. Two seamers are actually decent enough figures, Manley and McCarthy. 2.5 overs gone. He's gone for 18 when you look at 12 and over. Generally.
What a chance.
Thought
Oh.
he had it in his hand and just the jarring of the ground possibly knocked that out. One-hander from Doheny.
I just don't think it's stuck. These ones need to stick in your hand, and he's travelling at such a pace sideways.
Just get a
Brilliant
look
effort.
at it here.
Gets his hand in a good position, and yeah, it just
A
a little bit of an ice cream cone.
A little bit of both, yep.
For Stephen Doheny. Brilliant effort. Save 4, or save 3 because they came through for the single. But what a grab that would have been. They've dropped 2 catches. I'm not. I suppose it goes down as a drop, but it seems very, very harsh.
Yeah, little chat. Probably an apology there from Doheny, but I don't think he's anything to apologise for.
Roux coming round. He stops it easily. So really good over from McCarthy. Would have been better if that catch had been affected, but just the 3 runs from it, 11 overs gone. 125 for 2 as the Munster Reds look to stall this innings of the Leinster Lightning.
Ben White, left hand side of your screen there. In the dugout. Yeah, just in the last few overs. The Lightning Express has stalled a little, but plenty of time for them.
Nabby continues. Managed to get 1 tech in the last over. He'll be keen to get the other one out as well. They have to just keep taking wickets in quick time. Munster Reds still have 40 runs to play with, but with 9 overs, just under 9 overs left to score the runs, it's hard to see a way that the Leinster Lightning won't win.
Still blue skies here. Cork, we're blessed 3 days, as we mentioned. Hopefully that will continue in to the weekend. Three singles. Start this over. Boundary blitz has just eased for a moment anyway.
Top edge chance. Always Sager takes a good catch, and the drop catch from Doheny doesn't cost them much. Hasn't looked himself, Lorcan Tucker, since being down in Cork. He heads back and joins the opening 2. Could only imagine. I could only manage a couple of runs. 2 from 4 deliveries for him. Leinster Lightning 128 for 3.
Yeah, you can see as the ball is being delivered, you'll just see it here. Tucker sets himself up for the sweep, gets down early, but doesn't manage to get on top of the ball. Top edges it. A comfortable catch, just moving backwards, and yeah. Tucker hasn't managed to get going at all in his 2 games. Just the 2 today. 3rd wicket down. George Dockrell to the crease. Very similar to yesterday, in that they're just losing a few wickets here in a chase where, again, for all intents and purposes, is done. They're just throwing away a few wickets here.
Yeah, pretty regulation chase. It certainly was a couple of wickets ago, looking like they're going to do it easily, but middle order not its usual secure self for Leinster Lightning. George Dockrell was 1 from 2 yesterday, and I can almost imagine a grumpy Barry McCarthy in the tent saying the batters have to do it. Batters need to do the job. Seamus Lynch will be ready to come out. Gavin Hoey as well. Just getting a little bit chilly here in Cork. We've had a beautiful few days, and if the weather's anywhere near as good up in Stormont next week, then we'll be very, very lucky with the weather.
Yeah, I hope it is, because I'll not hear the end of it if it isn't. Let me tell him that Cork was beautiful. As you say, we're up in Stormont next week, and ends the over. 5 singles on the wicket for Nabby. He's got 2 for 25 from his 3. And the Leinster Lightning 130 for 3 from 12. There's your Leighton card, very top heavy. The Freitas sector smashing it all round the Mardyke, particularly the Freitas. 70 from just 29 deliveries. Tector was good too at 45, but they've lost their wickets, and that's been followed just recently by Lorcan Tucker, who falls to Nabby for just 2. Harry Tector and Dockrell, you're not 8 batters right now. Josh Manley takes the ball back now. He'll be searching his second.
A handy little leg bite from Harry Tector. He would have preferred if it had come off the bat, but the result on the scoreboard's pretty much the same, well, for the total anyway.
Just sliding down, you run the risk there, just clipping the thigh pad, which is exactly what happened. And
that's a good thigh pad. You want a thigh pad that adds impetus to the ball when it hits it.
You don't want it just dropping at your feet.
Beautiful shot,
Lovely
gorgeous
shot.
timing, gorgeous. Similar delivery, just a little bit too straight from Josh Manley, and helped on its way by Harry Tector.
Lovely shot. So we've seen a lot of brute force here over the past 3 days, but that's just on the pads. And rather than going thigh pad here, clips it. So here, watch the physio here. He's not watching. He's not watching. He's not watching.
Welcome to the cricket.
Yeah. Keep your eyes. We talked about Andrew Balburney over on the far side. Here on the side, looking up. Physio.
Edged, and that's going to fly away as well. Been frustrating over for Josh Manley.
That's T20 cricket there for you. Down about the last shot. Beautiful from Tector, but holds a better ball, a better line. Results the same. 3 4s in different ways off the first 3 balls. Just 25 needed now.
Good comeback. Just a little bit straighter. Down leg the first 2 deliveries, then a bit of width that invited the thick edge and just straightened up Josh Manley.
Dockrell on the face. Manley just his second ball faced.
Well negotiated, just the one. And off that boundary very quickly, isn't he? Back to your Nabby.
Yep, we saw in his batting. An all-action player.
So 4 boundaries to start off the over, 3 singles to finish it. An expensive one, 15 coming from that Manly over. 13 gone, 145 for 3.
Yep, 22 runs to win for the Lightning. Very likely that they're going to join the Knights. 2 wins, 2 bonus points. The overall sort of assessment of the festival, as we talked about, going to be 4 festivals, and this is the first one. Guys getting back into T20 mode.
Yeah, I just think it's been brilliant for the bowlers that they've got to negotiate bowling to in-form batters on a really good deck, unforgiving boundary lengths, and it just means you're being put under pressure all the time, and you can't practice that without being out in the middle. So in terms of the bowlers being put through their paces, I think it's been really valuable. That fielding position behind the umpire being employed again here for George Dockrell. Yeah, I think that's really helpful, to be honest. Good running, deft touch from George Dockrell.
Yeah,
get into
called
the
it
next
quickly. Yeah, he called that quickly.
But also different players coming to the fore. Chris DeFreitas and Stephen Doheny stand out with the bat. Cade Carmichael as well, showing that he's not just a one-day international cricketer. I think we've seen how important leg spin is. All the leg spinners on show have been successful. George Dockrell looking to send that one. Be interesting to see who ends up on top. I think it's going to be the Northern Knights, who on net run rate will stay in the top position, but they'll be close behind them, the Leinster Lightning. Currently their net run rate minus 0.71. That opening day loss was costly.
Yeah. That'll be the difference, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been a good 3 days. The players just suffering a little bit of fatigue here. Don't forget, 3 games in 3 days. It's not easy. Not just the 3 games, it's the preparation for the games as well. People think it's just 3 hours when you're on the pitch, but there's a lot more than that goes into it. So you got to get yourself up as well, thought processes and things like that. So 3 games in 3 days isn't easy.
Yeah, you can look at it in a couple of different ways. If things aren't going well in the first 2, you get the opportunity as George Dockrell looks to send that long. Doesn't quite have the legs. Went very, very high, but not far enough. Good from Navi. That's another wicket for him, his 3rd. And after an expensive first over, he's come back well. 150 for 4. Dockrell, once again, just doesn't get going. 5 from 5 for him. No boundaries.
Yep, just didn't get the par in that one. Got the elevation okay, but didn't get the par. Nicely taken on the boundary. The wicket goes. Barry will be coming even grumpier in that dugout, especially if he's having to
had to
put
strap
the boards
on
on.
the pads.
If he's having to put the boards on, he'll be really annoyed.
If he's next in.
Yep.
Maybe he's looking around and saying, well,
You go on. Yeah, you go.
He's not quite next in, is he? He's going to be behind Gavin Howie.
Yeah.
Thigh pad on, spikes on.
Trying to locate him now. I can see Gavin Hoy in the tent. Hopefully he's not disappeared thinking the game was over half an hour ago.
No.
Definitely not.
Yeah, another player that's been impressive that we didn't mention, Philippe Leroux, survived a chance earlier today and then was very entertaining. Josh Manley with his bowling. There's lots and lots of players that have been a joy to watch, bowlers and batters alike.
Yeah, you mentioned the leg spinners. I really like Robbie Miller coming through for the Warriors there. Again, he is. Just popped out and gave us a wave, Barry.
He's carrying his batting gear out. Exactly what he didn't want.
So all in all, some good cricket played. As we say, the only thing missing maybe was that really exciting finish to the last ball. I don't think we're going to get to the last over today somehow.
Yeah, 1 every 2 balls isn't exactly the most treacherous chase. Good bowling to his field there from Manley.
To be fair to the Reds, they have stuck at it here. Quite easy just to serve up a few deliveries and get out of town, so to speak, but they've stuck at it here, picked up 4 wickets since that 100-run partnership for the opening wicket.
Now, the other thing that stood out for me is that the bowlers who've done well on the final day, they're the best bowlers, because you can sometimes get away with the spell on the first day if people don't know what's coming. They don't know how you're going to go about your spell in T20 cricket. But then you very quickly get found out. Days 2 and 3. Josh Manley has come back strong today and yesterday. Barry McCarthy as well. Players who maybe didn't do as well as they wanted at the start of spells have come back. Good pace there for Manley.
Yeah, it's really well bowled. Going at the new man.
So those bowlers go back and figure out plans. They've got a plan A, B, C and D.
Yeah, very important. Modern day cricket. Cannot, as a bowler, do the same thing over and over again. You're right, you will be find out very quickly with all analysis these days. This is exactly the ball he bowls.
Slower ball, great batting. That's exactly what he was wanted. Seamus Lynch to get his innings up and running, and as always, it's through a boundary.
Yeah, we've talked about that. His innings so far this week. 4s and dots. Yeah, you probably, if you're right, if you asked him what he wanted there, slower ball.
Yeah, I think
volley.
the slower ball is okay. It's just the length. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, the length was just too full. Pull that back a yard or so, and you're in business. Spanked, dismissive. Another slower ball, I think, but it was too wide. And John McNally can't effect a miracle in the deep. 2 boundaries to somewhat spoil the figures for Josh Manley. Close out his 4-over spell, 1 for 32.
Yeah, 2 4s at the end. Width there. That's the problem that time. No, he can't get round. Yeah, that would be the overriding sort of feeling from the 3 days, but I generally don't think we can sort of close out a review of the week without sort of referencing that innings we saw yesterday from Doheny, the highest ever score in the long running IP20, 150, topping the previous score by a long distance, and the way he went about it. Got 1 life. Let's put a little bit of a dampener on it with the 1 life, but apart from that, it was really clean hitting from Doheny. He went from 100 off 43 to 150 off 56, so just 13 balls for that second 50.
Third 50.
Third 50, sorry, second 50, third 50, yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the things, I suppose, we're picking lots of names and a lot more could be included, but it's headaches for selectors. And you always want that after a festival. You want there to be questions asked, and Stephen Doheny is the in-between balls for me. Like, it's not just the boundary hitting, it's the balls in between. Just 8 dot balls in his innings. It's incredibly low for anybody. And oftentimes when you're scoring that heavily, you see more dot balls because you're not really bothered about the balls where you're not hitting 4 or 6. But that wasn't the case with him. Slip in for the new man. Great catch.
Yeah. Possibly what you're talking about is exactly where maybe Seamus Lynch could go away and look at that innings from Doheny, that yes, he's got the power, but in between, can he keep the strike rate turning over, sorry, the strike turning over, and keep the scoring rate up with just 1s and 2s, and then have the 6s coming in as well, and it really would just elevate him to that next level possibly.
Strong shot missed. That was a difficult one in mid-off. Bouncing in an uncomfortable way. Stephen Doheny got into a pretty good position, but it just kept leaving him. And dealing in boundaries, as we're so often seeing from Lynch. Three to win.
Comes up halfway down. Yep.
Chance in the deep, and he just didn't see it.
Pick it up. Yep.
Yeah. Didn't take the right line to the ball there. Unfortunately, Away Sagar. Would have been lovely for Liam McCarthy to come away with a wicket there.
You're willing him on here, is he?
Yeah.
Pick up a wicket here.
Bowlers Union always.
You're willing him on here to get a wicket off these last 2 balls. Just 2 to win. I'm afraid you're not going to get your wish there. It's going to go to the boundary, and it'll be the winning runs from Harry Tector. He moves to 24 and 22, and with 4.1 overs to go in the game, the Leinster Lightning have won, and they won by 6 wickets.
Yeah, convincing victory and pretty good showing in the field. I think Munster has showed some fight, but that opening partnership from Leinster Lightning between Krista Freitas and Tim Tector put the game as a contest to bed very early on. 118 for that first wicket, and the Munster Reds will be buoyed by the fact they took some wickets. They were never really in with a chance in this. 2 straight, swivels round and finishes it with a boundary. Harry Tector. He does get a red inker, so does Seamus Lynch. And Leinster Lightning, after a tough first day, have come back with 2 wins. Munster Reds, well, they're depleted. I think if you'd offered them 1 win out of 3 at the start of the week, when they knew they were missing a lot of their marquee players, maybe they would have taken it. But good signs from some of their players.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The Reds have shown a little bit of fight certainly after that day 1, where their fielding looked a little bit rusty, but they've certainly come back well with that win yesterday, and although they've been well beaten today, they've put in a good fight there with the ball, despite the fact that the Lightning opening partnership was so good. 2 wins for the Lightning, 1 for the Reds, 2 for the Knights, 1 for the Warriors from this 3-day festival at the Mardike. Players shaking hands at the end of the game there. And beautiful weather to match the cricket. There's the Reds batting. Struggles up top. Moore and Safi going cheaply. Doheny looked as if he was going to continue on from yesterday, but he perished. Caught by Tector off Hoy for 35, but Philippe Roux came in and just scored 2 off his first 8 balls, but then went on to make a magnificent 64 from just 36, supported by McNally to start with, but then Hilton as well with a little cameo. Took the Reds through to 166 in their 20 overs. Doheny was the major player in that top partnership, but one later on from Roux and McNally, as I say, and then the top partnership for the innings between Roux and Hilton of 46.
Yeah, good bowling despite all that, by the Lightning. Best of the lot was the leg spinner Gavin Hoey, 4 for 25 from him. But the best economy rate, Barry McCarthy wicketless, but only 17 runs off his 4 overs. Wickets as well for Harry Tector and Matthew Hollard, but all the bowlers performing pretty well. Wilson probably the only one who'll feel like he went the distance. And in the batting lineup, it was the opening pair who did most of the damage. Brilliant to watch if you're a neutral or a Lightning fan. Not so if you're a Munster Reds fan. 45 from 27 deliveries, but that for Tim Tector, that innings was eclipsed by Chris de Freitas, who went 70 from just 29 balls. A couple of wickets just delayed the inevitable for a while. Tucker and Dockrell not getting going, just 2 and 5 from them, but Harry Tector there at the end, 24 from 22, and Lynch helping out with an easy 13 from 7. Top partnership, 118 between Tector and de Freitas. That was really good viewing. Then a couple of wickets for the Munster Reds and the smiles going around, but then Harry Tector at the end with Seamus Lynch.
There's your bowling for the Reds. As we mentioned, that opening partnership really took toll of the spinners initially. And McNally, Mudgill there going for 40 from just 2. But then when they broke that partnership, good fight back from particularly Nabi. Took 3 for 30 from his 4. And a little bit of solace for the Reds that they came back after that blitzkrieg from the start, but couldn't really get back into the game despite that good fight back. But Manley will be pleased too with his 1 for 32.
A convincing victory for the Leinster Lightning. They've done it in the 16th over with 6 wickets in hand. Roux gave them something to bowl at in the first innings. 64 not out from him, and Doheny helped as well with his 35, but 4 for 25. That really put a stop to the Reds' attempts at putting up a defendable target, and then came de Freitas and Tector, their opening partnership, 118. That was the real tale of the day, as Nabi, he'll be pretty pleased with 3 for 30, but no bowler could do enough to stop Leinster Lightning winning by 6 wickets. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the 3 days action here down in Cork, and the festival moves north next week. We have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday up in Breedy, but before that we've got the Super Series 20 in Breedy on Sunday and Monday. A couple of games on Sunday, 1 game on Monday. Make sure you tune in for that. Hopefully the sun will be shining all week in Breedy, because there's plenty of T20 cricket coming up. And for myself, Isabel Joyce, and from Ali McCallum and everyone here at MWX Media and Cricket Ireland, we hope you've enjoyed the viewing, and we hope you'll join us again very soon. But for now, it's good night.